Alrighty, YouTube, Niner Empire, what is going down? Welcome back to another video. It always seems like big news drops when I'm like unable to make a video. Um, it always seems to happen when I'm at work, and it pisses me off because I want to be one of the, I want to get my thoughts up immediately. Um, but it happened with the Debo Samuel trade, and then it obviously earlier in the day, there was a report that came out. That said that the Niners are open to trading Brandon Aiyuk. This is interesting. I made a video a couple days ago that basically hinted at Aiyuk potentially being traded, and that there were teams, in on and asking around, poking around to see if a Debo Samuel trade was possible. They were reaching out to the 49ers, and some teams out there are interested in trading for Brandon Aiyuk. And then, a couple days before that, last week, made a video on this as well, but there's a report that came out that said that there are members of the 49ers front office that were never thrilled about giving Brandon Aiyuk $30 million in that massive 4-year, $120 million contract extension that he signed on the eve of the regular season. So now things are kind of heating up, and the Niners are open to trading Brandon Aiyuk for the right price. Man. And this is according to Ian Rappaport, by the way. Ian Rappaport was the one who initially broke the news about Brandon Aiyuk. So kind of diving into this, some people think that the 49ers would be paying more for Brandon Aiyuk to play elsewhere, and that's not true. So David Lombardi tweeted out today that San Francisco's cap must still absorb $18.4 million of Aiyuk's $23 million prorated signing bonus, and the 49ers aren't escaping that cap charge, which obviously is a no-brainer. But he did mention that the 49ers can't escape the $22.8 million 2025 option bonus and the $24.93 million option bonus in 2026, both of which fully vest exactly 1 month from now. So a trade would save the 49ers $110 million over the next 4 years, but it would have an increased cap charge of about $7.7 million this year. So, I mean, knowing that the 49ers could save this much money over the next 4 years, even with that $7.7 million cap charge this year, to be completely honest, man, that's going to be hard for the 49ers to not, be interested in potentially moving Aiyuk. Now, the problem with this is obviously hindsight's always 2020. Nobody ever could have imagined Brandon Aiyuk suffering this massive knee injury, but they should have traded this dude before giving him an extension, and they almost did before allegedly Kyle Shanahan came in and stopped it and was like, no, we're giving Brandon Aiyuk what he wants. Give him his money. I need him in my offense, yada, yada. So, now the 49ers are like, damn, maybe we shouldn't have gave him an extension. Maybe we shouldn't have paid him $30 million per year. That contract looks terrible now because he blew out his knee. So now they're open to trading him for the right price. What would Brandon Aiyuk's price tag be? To be completely honest, I can't see Brandon Aiyuk going for anything less than a second-round pick. There's no way they give him up for a third-round pick. I wouldn't do that personally. Some people out there might think that a third-round pick for Brandon Aiyuk is good. Hell no. Second-round pick or better, in my opinion. I just think the upside with Brandon Aiyuk, even with that knee injury, he may not be the same player. Obviously, I think he will be. I'm hoping that he kind of comes back even stronger and even, a better player. The funny thing is, I know this is kind of off topic, but complete plot twist. Debo joins Jaden Daniels before Brandon Aiyuk does. Brandon Aiyuk to the Commanders was actually getting really heated in the offseason last year when he requested that trade, or when the 49ers were almost going to trade him. The Commanders were one of the destinations that Brandon Aiyuk wanted to go to because of Jaden Daniels. He played at Arizona State with Jaden Daniels. But yeah, man. I mean, I definitely think it's going to be tough for the 49ers to trade Brandon Aiyuk because of the contract situation. However, it's not going to be outrageous for them to do this. So I don't know, man. It's going to be interesting. It's already becoming one of the most intriguing off seasons that I can remember from the 49ers. I mean, they are getting rid of big time players. They're done with the bullshit. They're done dishing out big money to these guys that aren't producing. And I'm here for it. The 49ers need a change. They need they need to get some more players in here. Number one, that are younger and that can produce. And I'm tired of seeing the 49ers pay these players big time money for them to either get hurt or just not be productive. And I get that, injuries are a part of football. I get all of that, and you can't really predict those type of things. But the fact of the matter is Debo was a player that was playing on a massive contract, and he was continuously hurt. Couldn't stay healthy. Out of shape. Complained on social media about not getting targets. We force-feed him in that Rams game, and he plays awful. He played probably his worst game I've ever seen him play on the 49ers. We need to get, and I'm sick and tired of getting diva type of players and having diva type of players on this roster. Guys that'll take their frustrations to social media and things like that. Come on, man. Like, that's not how a championship team is built. It's not good morale for the team. So I don't know. Brandon Aiyuk is one of those guys. Brandon Aiyuk's definitely one of those guys that would go on social media and complain. I don't know. Either way, though, it's going to be tough for the 49ers to trade him. Obviously, who knows what they would get in return, especially after this knee injury. But it is worth noting that this is a very possible thing that could happen. Could you imagine if the 49ers trade Debo and Brandon Aiyuk in the same offseason? That would be insane. They would clearly need to go all out for a guy like T. Higgins at that point, which I hope they do no matter what, because T. Higgins would be a massive addition. But I don't know. I definitely think it's just going to be a really intriguing offseason. Here's another tweet from David Lombardi that I also want to share. So he said, any potential 49ers wide receiver move, whether it involves Debo or Brandon Aiyuk, could be tethered in the idea of a long-term cost efficiency surrounding the roster centerpiece Brock Purdy. Evaluating it without looking beyond 2025 salary cap impact is foolish. Aiyuk is obviously less likely to be traded because he recently signed his extension. But Lynch's comments this week made it clear that the 49ers are all ears to any plays that can yield longer-term cost efficiency moving forward. And Aiyuk's deal is set up to at least theoretically make that a possibility. And we do know about last year's situation. What happens next depends on if another team is willing to make it worth San Francisco's consideration. That's where paying the remaining $27.5 million APY for Aiyuk coming off of an ACL injury comes into play. So I don't know, man. I mean, it's gonna be interesting though. I mean, the entire Brandon Aiyuk situation is going to be something to really kind of watch out for. But it does absolutely seem like the 49ers are all ears and they're going to listen to any potential deal that will get rid of some of the monstrous contracts that they're paying guys on this roster. It's also crazy to think too that, going back to this Debo Samuel thing, that Debo was traded for less than what the 49ers gave Trey Lance for. Absurd. But Yeah, so I mean, the Brandon Aiyuk situation is now kind of like the biggest rumor out there with the 49ers, aside from like, the draft rumors and things like that. But now everybody's kind of shifting their focus um to Brandon Aiyuk potentially being traded. I still don't think it happens. I just think the 49ers, it's going to be too hard for them to get done, but they are open to trading Brandon Aiyuk. They just traded Debo. And we'll see what happens. Let me know what you guys think of this report, though, in the comments down below. It's still crazy to me that Debo goes to the Commanders after Brandon Aiyuk was almost dying to go to the Commanders last offseason. That's pretty funny. That's like a wild situation there. But yeah, man, we will see what happens. Brandon Aiyuk, again, 49ers and Brandon Aiyuk open, or 49ers open to trading Brandon Aiyuk. This thing could really, it's already starting to heat up, but this thing could really start to take off in the next couple of weeks, especially if there's a team out there that comes to the 49ers with an offer that they simply just can't refuse, whether it's taking the remaining of Brandon Ayuk's contract, paying him, the full salaries for the next coming years, and then on top of that, getting at least a second round pick in return. I think if the team does that, that's that's probably going to be too tough not to pull the trigger on. And here's another thing too: $18.4 million of dead cap with a post June 1st trade designation for Brandon Aiyuk is nothing compared to paying him $100+ million for the next 4 to 5 years. Just keep that in mind if there are people out there that would prefer not to trade Brandon Aiyuk. So at this point, man, I'm open to anything. Whatever's really going to help this team. 49ers are in a way kind of going under this like small rebuild. Like they're not obviously constructing the roster because the core players are still intact. And it's not like the 49ers can't have one offseason and they're back to being in the Super Bowl. That's very possible. But for the people that may not want to trade Brandon Aiyuk, just take everything into consideration. Really think hard about it. Look at the contract details of what would happen if they traded him. Think about the injury that he's coming off of. To me, if the 49ers get something that they just seemingly can't pass up, Brandon Ayuk's going to be gone. But we'll see what happens. So let me know your guys' thoughts in the comments down below. As always, go Niners. I'll see you guys in the next one.